This meeting is being recorded.
Perfect. So I think you all know me, but I'm Stephanie, program manager of the Blackstone Watershed Collaborative. So I'm just going to run down my list, I think mostly of how you joined, if you just want to introduce yourself quickly. Ted.
Hi, I'm Ted Beauvais. I'm on the board of directors.
Oh, you muted yourself halfway through, Ted.
Oh, I thought, okay.
You got it.
Okay. I was muted. I did the reverse thing. I'm Ted Beauvais. I'm with the Blackstone River Watershed Association on the board of directors, and we operate in basically from Worcester down to the Rhode Island line.
Perfect, thanks. Nicole Bratzos.
Nicole Bratzos, Blackstone River Coalition, and I'm the program coordinator for the volunteer water quality sampling program.
Thanks. Jenny?
Hi, Jenny Sanders. I'm with the Massachusetts Division of Ecological Restoration, and I am the partnership specialist.
Thanks. And Jenny will be our presenter today. I switched it in my email, but we'll hear from her in a bit. Judy, thanks for joining us.
Everybody. Oh, you're welcome. I'm Judy Rondo. I am the non-point source watershed specialist and outreach coordinator within the non-point source section at Mass DEP.
Perfect, thank you. Gary?
Gary Bechtold, town planner in Northbridge.
Thanks, Gary. Good to see you. Donna.
Donna Williams, president of the Blackstone River Coalition and also on the board of directors of the Blackstone Heritage Corridor.
Thanks. And Courtney?
Hello, Courtney Schmidt with the Narragansett Bay Estuary Program.
Thanks. Thomas?
I'm Thomas Fick in Blackstone with the Metacomet Land Trust.
Thanks, Thomas. David Tapscott?
Hi, David Tapscott, Board of Health in Uxbridge and working actively with MVP.
Thanks. Ray?
Hi, my name is Ray Kelly. I am from the ZAP 50 coordinator, and I'm also on the Millbury Nature Trails committee member in Millbury.
Perfect, thanks. Katie?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep, I'm Katie DeGuche-DiMarzio from the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management in the Office of Water Resources.
Great, thanks for joining us, Katie.
Sure.
Miranda.
Hi, I'm Miranda Hotham. I'm the coordinator of the Worcester Green Corps at the Worcester Regional Chamber of Commerce.
Thanks. Serena.
Hi, I'm Serena Khalifa. I work with Miranda in the Worcester Green Corps.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for joining. Patty?
Hi, I'm Patty. I'm from Upper Blackstone Clean Water in Millbury, Mass, and I'm in the pretreatment and lab department.
Thanks, Patty. Hillary.
Morning, Hillary King, Regional Coordinator for the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program with EEA in Massachusetts.
And you look outside, jealous. That's nice.
I couldn't go in after walking the dog this morning.
I know, yeah. John.
John Gelsich, Principal Planner in Hopkinton.
Thanks, John. Nick Cohen.
Thanks.
Hi there, Nick Cohen, Environmental Planner at Horsley Whitney Group.
Thanks. Kelly?
Hi, everyone. Kelly King, Environmental Planner at Horsley Whitney.
All right. Greg.
Hi, Greg Dorschler in Worcester, currently affiliated with the Greater Worcester Land Trust as the Intercollegiate Outdoors Initiative Coordinator.
Thanks. Joanne.
Hi, I'm Joanne Holohan with the Blackstone River Watershed Association. Along with Ted, I'm the president of the Blackstone River Watershed Association. Good to see everyone.
Good to see you. Kate Benson.
Hi, Kate Benson with the Massachusetts Division of Ecological Restoration, working on the Broadmeadow Brook Restoration Project with Mass Audubon.
Perfect, thanks. Peter Friedland.
Hi, I'm Peter Friedland. I'm a resident of Upton.
Susan. Oh, you're on mute, Susan.
Hi, my name is Susan Shingaralik. I am with the Coalition Center for Environmental Sustainability.
Thanks, Susan. Connor.
Hi, I'm Connor McCormick. I'm the acting town planner for the town of Millbury.
Connor. Is there anyone that I missed when I went through introductions? No? Okay. Thanks everybody for coming, and let me just pull up my meeting notes, which of course I forgot to do until just now. Give me 1 second. And I mentioned I'm just going to record the first half, and we'll do more like workshopping on the second half for ideas that folks have. And if we can end early, that would be nice, and we can get you all outside for a couple minutes maybe. So let's jump in and have Jenny do a little presentation about her work, and then we'll do our subgroup updates. Jenny, let me make you a co-host so that you can share. Make co-host. Perfect. So you should be able to share your screen now.
Okay, thanks. Okay, are you all seeing the proper view, not the notes view, I guess? Okay, great. So good morning, and thanks so much for the opportunity to present. Again, my name is Jenny Sanders, and I'm the Ecological Restoration Partnership Specialist at the Massachusetts Division of Ecological Restoration. So today, I just want to give you an overview of the Regional Restoration Partnerships Program. It's a new program at DER, and I think it's probably going to interest you. Your collaborative work is applicable to the program. So I'll jump right in. The first thing, though, I found over the time that the last couple of years I've been working at DER, that occasionally people confuse the Division of Ecological Restoration, or DER, with other agencies. So just a quick overview of who we are. We're non-regulatory. We are a division under the Department of Fish and Game. DER works to restore and protect rivers, wetlands, and watersheds in Massachusetts for the benefit of people and the environment. And we do this mainly by providing grants and technical assistance. And since the division's inception in 2009, you can see some stats here on the screen. We've completed, with our partners, our community-based partners and municipal partners, over 80 projects, leveraged over $100 million in federal dollars. And we currently have about 140 active projects. So all this is to say, very action-oriented and partnership-based. We work statewide on a variety of projects. So stream flow restoration and management, urban river revitalization, dam removal, cranberry bog restoration, municipal culvert projects, wetland and coastal habitat restoration, and now regional restoration partnerships, which you can see outlined on this map in gray. Those are the partnership region boundaries. And if you're familiar with our work, you may be familiar with priority projects. As Kate, my colleague, mentioned, that's a priority project. or the CRMA program, which helps communities replace failing or undersized culverts. So just to give you an overview of what we're well known for. But as I mentioned, the partnerships program is a new effort. So that's what I'll be talking about today. What is the partnerships program and why did we create it? And its full name is the Regional Restoration Partnerships Program. I often shorten it to just the partnerships program. So I should clarify. So the idea is to empower our partners and their stakeholders to do ecological restoration work that, ideally restores degraded aquatic ecosystems and increases climate change resiliency. We recognize that there is a strong interest in doing this work, but sometimes limited support for certain aspects of it. So, the recognition comes with the idea that there's a regional approach is needed, a watershed scale approach, for example. But we wanted to counter that one-off or opportunistic approach that is sometimes driven by these short-term funding cycles. So we wanted to really support development of a long-term strategy at the watershed scale that can help our partners systematically implement ecological restoration projects. Again, I mentioned that this is a new program, so just wanted to kind of show you how things have shaped up. When I arrived in June 2020, I took a look at some background materials to understand what led DER to develop this program and hire me. And I also looked at other groups that are operating across New England with these kind of goals in mind, or at this watershed and regional scale to do this kind of work. I also looked at other programs that support this kind of work nationwide, really, to draw from their lessons learned and successes. I conducted a series of listening sessions with partners who are doing this work or would like to do this work, groups that support those partners. And then we internally developed the framework for this program in January of 2021. And then in June of 2021, we released the RFR for the pilot of the program. We selected and announced the partners for the first cohort in December of 2021. And just last month, we executed agreements with those partners. So now we're working to do a baseline assessment of the capacity of the partners that have just entered the program, of their needs, so that we can try and address those needs and support them as they develop or grow their partnerships so they can be as successful as possible. So now I'd like to just talk about some important aspects of the program and kind of break it down piece by piece. So the overview, what is a regional restoration partnership, kind of starts with the Division of Ecological Restoration. We develop the program, we fund it, but really the next piece is the lead organization, what we call the lead organization. That is a single organization. It's the applicant to the program or the grantee. In our first RFR, we limited that to nonprofit organizations and regional planning agencies. Those were the eligible applicants. And as I mentioned, we selected 3 for this first round. Funding in the program allows them to hire a restoration coordinator. And that restoration coordinator is the point person for the partnership. They're also a liaison for DER. And they're really an important figure to help keep things moving forward in the partnership. The next piece is the stakeholder piece. And so sometimes when people think of stakeholders, they think of general public, but in this case, they're more of the movers and shakers. They're a core group of people that are representative of the region. And they're really the people that the lead organization and the restoration coordinator can count on to identify and advance priorities in partnership with them. And then the last piece that you see here is this partnership region. This is simply the area where the partnership activities take place. When we developed the program, we didn't define what that would look like. We didn't carve up Massachusetts into predefined regions. We left that open for the applicants to define for themselves. So a watershed group, for example, might propose watershed boundaries for their partnership region, but a regional planning agency might propose their work region differently. So we left that with some flexibility for the applicants to define. So I'm going to go through each piece of that graphic that I just showed and kind of talk about the pieces. So the lead organization is really the leader. It's the applicant or the grantee, as I mentioned. They employ the restoration coordinator. The restoration coordinator is not an employee of DER. They're employed by the lead organization. And ideally, this group is connected in the community with a track record of engagement. They have enduring relationships with those stakeholders or potential stakeholders. And, we looked for lead organizations that had the potential to lead and support restoration in the region by collaboratively leveraging those existing relationships. So the restoration coordinator is another important piece. This is a person who has knowledge of natural resource management and aquatic ecosystems. And then to support the partnership, they have a number of other skills, ideally. They have group facilitation skills, interpersonal skills, project management skills, fundraising skills, time management skills, and the ability to communicate and coordinate outreach activities effectively. Now, this is it's a long list of ideal skill set, right? So you remember earlier when I said that we are helping the organizations that have just come into the program do a baseline assessment of capacity. One of the things that we're doing, for example, is helping them assess their restoration coordinator skill sets. And the coordinator can self-identify places that they feel confident in, places that they feel they would like more development, and then we can invest with them to grow those skill sets. So places they feel they aren't as strong, we're trying to help them build up those skill sets so they are more effective leading their partnership. So the next piece is stakeholders. And this is something that I think, this really relates to what you're doing here. Your collaborative seems to be very functional at engaging stakeholders to advance your goals. In the regional restoration partnerships, the stakeholders are those movers and shakers that help the lead organization and its restoration coordinator advance the partnership goals. So this is another part where we were not overly prescriptive about how things were organized, how they structured this component. So the lead organization has the flexibility to structure this component in any way that works for them, as long as it's functional. And there's a reason for that. It's because some groups come in with no partnership already established, and some groups might come in, such as yours, with a well-established, highly functional partnership. And we wanted to make sure this opportunity was open to both kinds of groups. So any group that is already functional and established that is interested in pursuing and advancing ecological restoration should still have the opportunity to apply and be competitive, just like a group that isn't already established and functional. But we did define what a functional partnership should look like. So the stakeholders should meet with regularity, collaboratively plan restoration activities together, help identify and pursue funding resources, willing landowners, things like that, that help advance the goals, help anticipate problems with implementation and identify solutions, and implement projects either directly or indirectly together, and then coordinate externally to build trust in the community. So those are some of the things that we feel make a successful partnership.
Jenny, maybe I should, provide context here for folks wondering, like, is the collaborative one of these partnerships or why isn't it? And that's because when this was announced, you mentioned, I think it was June or July was when the RFP was open, and the collaborative wasn't formed until September. So we didn't exist yet. We weren't eligible to apply for anything. So we have not pursued this funding before, but we would love to, be involved into the future. So just giving that context.
Yeah, and I actually, that's a good point. There's some slides in the future that talk about how you might think about future opportunities when they're available for your work, depending on what your goals and priorities are. So the funding, these regional partnerships that are funded now, they focus on ecological restoration, project planning and implementation. And so you can think of the funding that's broken down basically to fund these two roles. They fund a restoration coordinator salary, and then it funds implementation. So the coordinator is a network weaver. There's somebody who helps bridge that gap between municipalities, other nonprofits, and partners in the region, basically to help support and advance restoration projects. They might, in any given week or time period, help fundraise, provide natural resource expertise, and project management support. On the implementation side, that funding, it's not enough to pay for a large scale restoration project. I don't have piles and piles of money for restoration, but it's definitely a good amount of seed money. And so we hope that the coordinator can use that to leverage additional funding sources. So it's good for planning and design, permitting, a portion of construction. And there's also a unique component to it that it can be used to make subawards to some of those partners sitting at the table, those stakeholders. And an example might be the lead organization coordinates a stakeholder group in the partnership. Some of those stakeholders might be smaller nonprofit groups that don't have a lot of unrestricted funding to sit at the table for many months and do planning activities, or to go out into the community and implement projects on behalf of that lead organization, unless they're funded specifically to do so, unless they have earmarked funding for that. Well, this implementation money can be used to make subawards to those smaller nonprofits so that they have funding that is specifically earmarked to implement that work. So that's just something that is uniquely built into this structure. So above all else, this is a capacity building program, not organizational capacity building, but it's capacity building. The goal is capacity building for groups and stakeholders to independently lead restoration, ecological restoration. So we recognize that this kind of capacity building takes time. The program right now, this current cohort, it's structured in a 3 to 5 year term pilot. And I refer to this period as restoration with training wheels. So we aren't talking about completely insulating these restoration coordinators from all forms of possible failure, like you see on the left. We're not bubble wrapping them, insulating them. We're trying to give them the tools and the support they need to be successful on their own. And so DER is providing technical assistance and funding while they are building their programs and learning. Our hope is that in this time, groups will build the capacity, attract greater funding, and eventually become able to sustain their restoration programs. We'd also like to see, personally, I would like to see this program become popular and attract more funding so that I can open another RFR, bring in more organizations, and this first cohort, I'd like to see us graduate it. This group of first 3 organizations that have been funded, I'd like to see us graduate them to sort of a maintenance type plan, so that we continue to support them as they grow and become sustained. So that's sort of just the future vision. Now, along the lines of future RFRs, I get this question a lot, and this relates back to what Steph was saying about, where you're at in the cycle, whether you could apply in the future. We do not have an RFR planned to be open this spring that would start contracts in our state fiscal year 2023. That would be a contract that starts this July. But all of the past program materials that outline, such as our last RFR, question and answer documents, program summaries, those things are on DER's website, which I have a link to on the next slide, along with my contact information. So you're welcome to look at that information and think about it. And future opportunities will be announced on that website as well. So it's a good place to familiarize yourself with the program and just keep an eye out. Now, one thing I do want to mention is that any of the current RFR and program guidelines could potentially change in the future, like in future RFR opportunities. So when you see a new announcement, it's important, it's always a good idea to read all those materials very carefully and structure any requests according to those materials. So circling back again, yeah, Steph, one of the reasons I wanted to present today is to make sure you guys are aware of this opportunity, this new program, and give you time to ask some questions and think about whether advancing ecological restoration with your collaborative, if it's something that you're interested in, then this might be something you apply to the next time it's open and available. So that's all I have. Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk with you today, and I'll just open it up for questions.
Thanks so much, Jenny. And we're really excited that, the state is investing in programs like this and getting people together in collaboratives, because I think probably the folks who attend this one understand the importance of it and the benefits. So yeah, if folks have questions, feel free to unmute yourself, raise your hand, put it in the chat. Katie says, are any of these grantees in the cohort in our area or the watershed? If you want to go back to that map.
Yeah, I'll go back to that map. No, oops. They are not. They're too far. The first partnerships were funded in the Buzzards Bay watershed area, the Merrimack, and that was the Housatonic. They're the Berkshire area. They combined several watershed areas.
Close, but not quite. Yeah, Thomas.
Yeah, I'm in a situation where in Blackstone, there's the Blackstone Gorge and the Blackstone Dam that's owned by a power company. They're producing hydropower, and they're in Vermont, and they approached me to get some information on doing eel ladders on the Blackstone Gorge in Blackstone, and also eel ladders on the North Smithfield side where the power plant is. So it's actually a two-state project, and they were looking for input on how to do it. So it sounds like it's a project suited for your department, but there's going to have to be other players involved because again, one is in Rhode Island and one is in Massachusetts. They're only less than a mile apart, but it's the dam is in Massachusetts that backs up the water for the power plant that's in the turbines that are actually in North Smithfield, Rhode Island. And they have a management person that runs the turbines, and he approached me saying that the permit for their operation, their federal permit, they signed in the fact that they would put in these eel ladders, but they at this point kind of dumbfounded on how to stop. So this has just come to light to me this week. So I would try to coordinate some informational sessions with them, with people that would need to be pulled into this. So we may be talking more.
Well, where do I start? Is the question that you would like someone to help you construct eel ladders that cross state boundaries?
No, there's actually going to be two eel ladders. One at the power plant with turbines, which is in North Smithfield, and one at the Blackstone Gorge, which is the dam that backs up the water. So one project will be totally in Mass and one project will be totally in Rhode Island.
I think that we're in the business of generally removing barriers. You might be, and we also don't lead the projects ourselves. So I might be able to take down my contact information. I might be able to connect you with someone who can help you, but I think it might be a different division.
Right. This is actually when they got their federal permit, which is probably coming due again in the near future, that they signed on that they would do these ladders. So it's a requirement they have to do, but that they said they were going to do, and they're looking to do it. So I'm trying to help with as much information as I can.
Yeah, I think that would be a different state agency, but I'll be happy to try and get you the right contact for that.
Thank you.
And there was another question, I think, in the chat here. Looks like, how did you deal with, it looks like this is a good question here. How did you deal with other states with the Housatonic and Merrimack? The obvious follow-up is that, yep. Yeah, so that's a good point. Our funding can only be used in Massachusetts, and that kind of relates to what Thomas was just asking. Our funding can only be used in Massachusetts. So for example, the Merrimack, they already have a restoration coordinator in New Hampshire. So they clearly delineated their boundaries for their partnership when they applied. They made it very clear that their coordinator would only be working in Massachusetts. They already had another position fully funded in the New Hampshire portion of their watershed, and Buzzards Bay as well. They had to clearly delineate and outline their plan, how they would be operating and how the funds would be used, and just made it clear that they wouldn't be spending across state lines. We understand that watersheds know no jurisdictional boundaries, but we're bound by our own funding guidelines. So.
And Donna, thank you. Shout out to Peter Coffin of Blackstone River Coalition, who helped ensure that eel ladders were included in that permit where Thomas was talking about.
Yeah, and the partnerships program, so that's an interesting aspect about this. Because the partners enter the program and then undergo funding, then undergo planning with their stakeholders to look at that watershed holistically, decide which projects are going to rise to the top and which ones they're going to focus on together. They weren't asked for details in the application about which projects they plan to pursue. So they were able to talk about generally what kind of projects they wanted to pursue, but they weren't asked for project details in their application, which is a little bit different. I know that again is meant to sort of stem that. It's meant to redirect the thoughts from, we're going to do these 3 projects in these 2 years or whatever. It's meant to say, to redirect people to think about working with their stakeholders to collaboratively identify those projects and then source that funding. And you might have more than one going at once, because a municipality might be leading a culvert replacement at the same time your lead organization is doing a couple of their own restoration projects. At the same time, a third nonprofit partner in a far eastern region of your partnership region is leading their own partnership, their own restoration projects. So the idea is that you might have several ongoing projects at the same time because everyone's capacity is being built.
It was basically a dream RFR.
It is. I mean, I get that it's a lofty idea. I hear that a lot.
No, it was great. It was perfect. It was great. Didn't know what you had to focus on. You're like, I'm here and I'm going to support what we need as it comes up. That's exactly, I feel like, what the collab does, which makes it really hard to apply for grants because we don't always know what we need to do.
Well, and that's what we heard, is that this was a barrier for people who really have ambitious goals and big dreams. And there are a lot of people doing a lot of planning already. So a lot of people can put the plans that they're already doing in place. So you have a strong plan. You know, there are people who have a lot of planning background. So you can pull those plans in and use them to start you off. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Jenny. Are there any last minute questions or comments for Jenny? And please feel free to grab her contact info here. Yeah, Joanne.
Yeah, there's a
I think Jenny said that there were no RFR for this coming year, but do you know when they'll open back up again?
I don't have an idea yet. Those decisions are made just annually based on funding and internal capacity and a few other factors. So this decision was made this year, and I think the decision will be made toward the end of 2022 whether to open. Yeah, so we would know, maybe by December I might have a better idea.
We can all encourage DER and say how interested we are in their wonderful new program. And I've been making that clear to folks that I talk to as well. And I know that Mike Jarrell is also pushing for that. So any other questions, comments before we move on? Perfect. Well, thank you, Jenny. And thanks for joining us today. And we will definitely keep in touch. And very excited to hear about future RFRs. It's a awesome program. Okay, so moving on to our next item on the agenda is our subgroup updates. So our municipal resolutions, we have Burrillville on the agenda next in Rhode Island to pass another resolution. Otherwise, we don't have any other updates on that. I don't know if we have John Marsland on our call today.
Yes, I just signed on.
Oh, hey, John. Anything you want to add there?
Yeah, I sent the email to Ray, like you spoke about at Burrillville, and I haven't heard back about the exact date for the resolution for Burrillville.
Okay, no problem. The other update I actually is that we did present to Uxbridge, and Uxbridge said, this is interesting. We're not sure if we're ready to pass something, and they are looking for additional support. I don't know, David, if you want to add anything for
just that I've reached out to other town boards and committees, like suggested by the Board of Selectmen. Have not heard back from them. I think it's going to take some pushing. We have an election coming up, and it sort of dovetails with who's going to be in office, in May. So ongoing work in progress.
Work in progress. Exactly. Yeah, perfect. You do have a very, very awesome, strong MVP team, though, which is exciting, and I feel like a model for a lot of other communities. It's rare that an MVP team stays meeting like Uxbridge has, so that's great. Yes, clap, clap, Hillary. All right, next on the agenda is ZAP 50th, and I'll hand it over to Ray, but gosh, great job, everybody. I know so many of the folks on this call were, quoted in that article. It was front page news for the Telegram and Gazette. It was a 3-page article. So kudos to Cyrus Moulton, who spent the time. I think I talked to him 3 different times over like 2 months to put this article together. So he did a great job at talking about all the different things going on in the Blackstone and the needs assessment report and the 50th anniversary of ZAP and the programs that are coming up and the history of the watershed too. So yeah, really exciting. And I've gotten a lot of really great feedback from that. I did get a call from one of our state representatives representing Worcester, Mary Keefe, and she's very interested in participating in the future. So I sent her a lot of info, and she told me also hey, sign up Representative Dan Donahue, I'll tell him that he's in. So I think both of them will be participating into the future. I'm having coffee with them next Monday and hopefully talking a little bit more about how they can be supportive. I know there's another state representative that's also interested. So it was a really good article to get people hearing about what's going on and gathering support. So Ray, I'll hand it over to you.
All right, good morning. Hello. Did you make me a presenter so I can present?
I did not, but I can. Give me 1 second. There you go.
All right. Let me start my slideshow here. So good morning. Hello, hello. Let me get sharing the screen. All right, can everyone see the exciting background?
Very nice.
All right, let's see if I can minimize that. There we go. All right, so thank you. I appreciate Stephanie giving us this time, giving Zap this time. A little bit different feel to the presentation today. I guess based on where we are, I think putting words into action is kind of where we're at. We've certainly been doing that as much as we can, but it's ramping up quite a bit. So first thing, as she mentioned, great article. Hope everyone has had a chance to read it. If you haven't, then this presentation is a little bit more informative, but the article was, I don't know, it was terrific. So great thanks to everybody who contributed, especially Bonnie Combs, who got started, and of course Cyrus Moulton, who wrote some really great content and asked a lot of really good questions of everyone involved. The clicking is a little slow here. Many of you have seen this, but as a quick refresh, and for those of you who haven't, ZAP 50 is really a collaboration of the river and watershed professionals and volunteers, and we're all working to make a significant positive impact, building on current and historical momentum for change and improvement. The short-term success of ZAP 50, we really expect will re-energize efforts to affect long-term change and improvements in the watershed. You know, it's going to be a short-term. ZAP 50 overall will be over September 10th, but we expect the effect will last long after that. And one of the ways that we are affecting immediately and into the long term is all these different needs priorities. We're doing a lot to support the needs assessment. So the more people we get, the more will affect every one of these items. And the basic goals, August 27th, we want there's a goal of 10,000 people participating in cleanup, green up, and improvement projects across the watershed. So cleanup is pretty straightforward. Green up, you know, whether it's planting or, you know, doing things, you know, in the environment, you know, they're very environment focused. Improvement projects, you know, that could be building things, you know, painting storm drains. There's a lot of things that encompass this general category. So I don't want people to be limited to, you know, the same old, same old. There's a lot of possibilities with a lot of people. What can you do with a lot of people? You can do a lot of things you haven't thought of before. And then on September 10th, we're going to celebrate Operation ZAP 1972, which they called ZAP Day, as a foundational turning point. And we really want to get people participating in outdoor activities and tourism that are possible because of the 50 years of progress we've made since then. And throughout the whole time, before, during, after, we want to get people excited and involved in the Blackstone Watershed Collaborative and partner organizations. And we're doing that to maintain the overall momentum. We don't want to just be a flash in the pan. We want this to be as somebody mentioned in the article, a zap in the arm, a zap to the Blackstone. So I think that was Peter who said that. So what can ZAP 50 do for other organizations? We expect through this whole process, we'll provide great exposure for all partners and sponsors. We've already done that with the article that just came out. There was a lot of references to the Watershed Collaborative, to the BRC. Can't recall any others, but they're, you know, we're raising the visibility, I think, of the watershed, of the environment, of the good work that people have been doing for a long time. When we get all these people together, we think that we can facilitate progress that was previously impossible. And we're going to provide connection of those 10,000 people back to the watershed, back to the Watershed Collaborative, all the partners. And this is just some quick graphics because I'm a visual learner here. These are the three main parts where ZAP is in the middle of all these three main items, connecting the celebration activities and the cleanup, greenup, and improvements. And all three of those things feed into long-term watershed change and improvement, which comes from greater community involvement and working with collaborative partners. So what is ZAP 50 doing now? The steering team, which is really the implementation team, we're meeting every 2 weeks. We have a new schedule where we are reducing that time to try and be more efficient. We're going to make it 6:45 to 7:30 starting on Monday, and it's going to continue to be every other Monday. We really want to keep this momentum going that we have within the steering team. So the next meeting is on Monday, following is April 4th, and so on. We already have a marketing logistics team formed, and they've been hard at work doing a lot of different things. And we are continuing to build our local captains coordinators group. 10 to 15 cities and towns are covered. That's a little flexible as people drop in and out, but we're really looking to cover the entire watershed. And the number that we are generally using is 39 cities and towns. So we definitely need some more folks. To make things run a little smoother, to provide clearer vision, we've created a board or leadership council. I know most groups in the watershed use the board terminology, but functionally it's a leadership council. We aren't too worried about titles, but we really want to get things done. So we want to provide the vision that the steering team will implement. We're looking for more people who are ready to contribute to that vision and purpose. So the current board or leadership council is not closed. There are no elections. You want to join us? Come on board. So right now, a lot of you folks know these people. These are the current people who have agreed to sign on. And those are their general areas of, where they're based out of, I guess. But everyone is handling the entire watershed in terms of how we are dealing with things. We aren't limiting ourselves just to the state boundaries. Certainly, Massachusetts people, the Rhode Island people have expertise in those locations, a lot more contacts, but this is really a watershed-wide approach. And we need watershed-wide methods as well as, some specific things that are, more tailored to the states. So when it comes to the other organizations in the watershed, ZAP is contacting every municipality and major group, many major groups throughout the watershed. We're meeting to understand local needs, and we're presenting the ZAP 50 and collaborative resolutions for approval, and that's an ongoing process. So that's one of the aspects we're doing. Certainly, Stephanie and John and other people are presenting the resolutions, but we're talking that up. We're having those discussions. It's definitely part of what ZAP is doing. We are getting people and groups connected to ZAP and the collaborative. A major element, like I said, that's item 3 on our goals. And we're building a network to meet the ZAP goals that can be used long after ZAP is over. ZAP's duration is just for this year, ZAP 50. Certainly, I think the spirit of ZAP will continue. It's continued since 72. So we expect that what we build, we'd like to hand over. We'd like to make that useful long-term, make that work, something that can be built on going forward. So when it comes to your organization, some things to consider. Is your organization stretched too thin? Do you need more people to be involved? I know due to COVID and lots of other things of late, a lot of organizations are pretty thin. They could use more folks. So one of the things that ZAP wants to do, we think we can help improve your visibility, participation, and rebuild your membership. It's not a cure-all, certainly, But when we have thousands of people and they get to the end of ZAP and they say, what can I do with all this newfound enthusiasm? Where do I go? We're going to send them back to the collaborative. We're going to send them to the partners. We're going to tell them that, yes, they still can put their efforts to good use going forward. So in order to get to that point, we need your assistance, and we plan to take that and multiply it. The more you can contribute to ZAP, the more we can give you back. And every big action needs many people to contribute, and ZAP is one of those actions. There's 7 people on the board. There's more people on the steering team. But in order to reach 10,000 people, in order to make the impact this year going into the future that we expect, we need your help. This might be a little out of order. I apologize. I was proofing it just a few minutes ago. Let me go forward a little bit. Here we go. So what can other organizations do for ZAP? We'd really like you to partner with us to provide support and volunteers. We need you to register your organization. We'd like you to register your organization as a partner at zaptheblackstone.com. You can see a number of those at the bottom of the webpage. Nominate at least one liaison to attend steering team meetings. A few groups have done that already, and we hope more will do so in the near future. We'd also like you to notify your membership about ZAP and request or nominate people to be local coordinators. All these folks who are the local people that know what's going on, that have the good relationships with the local groups, the municipalities, we could really put their talents to good use. We also would like you to submit projects, any projects that you're considering within your groups or local. There's a great need for projects. Once we have all these people, we certainly need to have a place to point them to turn them loose. And any contacts you have for municipalities or groups outside of the collaborative and potential sponsors. We do have some sponsors. We've had some great conversations with the Wind Waste, and they have said that they will be able to help us with tipping. They'll get their employees involved, and they're most likely going to be able to contribute monetarily. So we're moving along, but we can always use more assistance. Come on. There we go. We'd also like you to promote zaptheblackstone.com on your website if you can. We have a few doing that already. And promoting ZAP 50 and events at your events. And let me go back 2 slides. If I can. Cooperate. Here we go. Oops, here we go. So another sort of what is ZAP 50 doing now? Zaptheblackstone.com, just as a quick explanation. It's really our hub for information and contact, volunteer sign up, project submissions. It has a history of ZAP that's being improved. There's a lot of information about ZAP and a lot of information about how ZAP fits into the watershed. And that website is constantly being updated. So tune in. And news coverage so far, like we talked about, Valley Breeze, Woonsocket Call, and Pawtucket Times, Worcester TNG, that has been completed. So we expect more of that to continue. So be on the lookout for that, and hopefully we'll be able to send you some info on that as it develops. So what can individuals do? For yourself, for others who aren't necessarily worried about being in a group or want to work outside the group, there's plenty of things to do. Putting on these events is certainly going to take a lot of different categories of activities, a lot of different skills. So any of these things, we could continue to use help on all these topics. So again, if you want to get more info, you want to sign up, zaptheblackstone.com, and the info is just info@zaptheblackstone.com. And if anybody wants to contact me directly, feel free. Optimize25@gmail.com. I'm also listed in the, I forgot to put my email here. I'm also listed in Stephanie's list of folks within the collaborative. that's our update of today. A lot of things are happening, and we really hope that more of you can be involved. It will not be nearly as successful if we don't get a big turnout from the collaborative. So we really hope you can.
Okay. Any quick questions, comments? I know we got to move forward on the agenda. Okay. For Bikeway Greenway, I know one of the big updaters there is usually Dick Moore, and I don't think we have him on the call today. Are there any other Bikeway Greenway updates that people want to provide? Okay, we will hold off that for next time. I just saying that there is a lot of big infrastructure funding coming, and we're hoping to be able to direct some of that to the Bikeway Greenway as well. And we've been talking to DOT as well about how we can maybe put some of that funding towards these projects that need a little bit more push to get them either permitted or built. For water quality work, Nicole, do you want to jump in and give your update now under that?
Okay, sure, yeah. So the BRC is looking for volunteer water quality monitors. If you're not familiar with our program, we sample every year on the Blackstone River watershed, sample all across the watershed, 75 different sites. And we normally have about 100 volunteers. We're a little short on this year. We've had some turnover. So we are looking for volunteers in all 3 sections of the watershed, the upper near Worcester, mid-reach around Uxbridge area, and then the Rhode Island portion of the watershed. Rhode Island especially, we really need volunteers in there. So it's 1 Saturday a month, and we have volunteers go out and do dissolved oxygen testing and measure depths and look around and get a visual and look for invasive plants and just see what's going on at the sites once a month. And then those volunteers bring back a sample to the lab. So we have positions out there for field monitors and then also lab positions. And the testing's all pretty easy. It can be taught. It can be easily taught in like an hour instruction. So we're just looking for people who want to help and get out there. And then the lab volunteers. So the site volunteers, we need a little more of a commitment to every Saturday. But the lab volunteers, you know, if you can only do a couple Saturdays during the season, we would definitely welcome anyone in to help out with that. So yeah, if anyone's interested, my email is on the flyer, and I can also, as on Stephanie's agenda, and I can also put it in the chat here.
Perfect. Thanks, Nicole. And I know I'm not great about social media, but I did share it on our Facebook page, which PS, I just made a Facebook page if anyone wants to like our page of the Blackstone Watershed Collaborative. But feel free to reach out to Nicole and then share that broadly so we can get some more monitors on this really amazing program, which is in its 19th year.
19th year, yeah.
19th year. We'll have to have a celebration next year for you guys.
Yeah.
And I wanted to mention, while you're on the call, do you mind sending me last year's report to the city of Worcester for like the annual report of here's what we looked at? Clark University was interested in doing some monitoring and cleanup at one particular area. And I mentioned that your report had identified that as a critical area to be cleaned up behind the car wash in one of your sites. So.
Sure. Let's touch base on that afterwards. I'm not exactly familiar with that report. I'm not sure of anything that had happened last year for that report. So we'll touch base and with Peter and Donna as well.
Sounds good. Thanks. Next on the agenda, or does anyone else have water quality things they want to mention? Patty? No. Okay. Universities. I know there's a lot of individual work going on. I don't know if anyone wanted to provide an update on some of the things they're working on, if they want other universities involved. Patty, you're breaking up a little bit. Patty, I can't hear you. You're breaking up, but if you have access to the chat, if you want to put it in the chat. Okay, hopefully Patty will get better service or put it in the chat so we can hear what she's saying. Any other the update?
I'll just from WPI's end, we're still kind of planning on trying to do some work regarding the modeling of CSOs and or modeling of stormwater and CSOs in the Worcester area. And we're kind of interested in linkages between open spaces, between water and as well as, the communities also. So we hope to be contacting people on that, but nothing else to report on this time. We're working on it.
Can I just add on to that? I believe that I did contact you maybe a week or two ago. I have an Earth Day event coming up and we're going to the bikeway in Worcester, and I have a small budget to put a garden in there. So I was wondering if you and the students might want to help us plan out a garden in that area.
Thank you for reminding me about that. Yes, let's follow up separately. I'll see if I can get our green team students certainly involved with it. We'd like to connect in with that, I think. And I know there's some students actually, our environmental engineering group was doing some work around Institute Park and Elm Street, I think, and I'll have to check on the date for that. I know they had some cleanups and things going on, so they were helping with that. So thank you.
Great, thank you.
Awesome. Any other updates for things specifically about needs assessment, such as fish passage? I know that there's been a lot of progress made lately. I don't think there's any particular update for that though. Courtney's not saying anything, so I'm just gonna say no.
Yeah, that's Mike, and I've only been half paying attention because Mike has been steering that ship.
Yep.
I do know that John O'Brien from TNC did share that the progress over the last 6 months has been more than in the last 6 years. So at least TNC and I believe, some folks at DEM are very happy to start seeing this move forward. And there's definitely lots of discussions going on. So I'm hoping that with this new infrastructure money and some boost of capacity and personnel, things will move forward even faster.
Awesome. And Patty, we got your chat. You've been working with Emily at RISD, who did our presentation last month, connecting her with NeighborWorks in Woonsocket to set up pop-up events for the Blackstone Commons during the Levitt Amp Friday night concert series this summer. Great. We'll probably hear from Emily again soon about that down the river, which we will highlight Fish Passage for. Okay, and for other updates, floor is open. Feel free to put it in the chat or unmute yourself, raise your hand, etc., for whatever updates you want to provide to the rest of the group or events that you want to share. Yeah, Courtney.
So I have two things. So from the Narragansett Bay Estuary program, first, and this is the big thing for you guys to think about, we are relaunching our internship program. And so what I need are ways, and I know everyone here has things that need to get done, but they don't necessarily have the capacity to get an intern in their office or their field site. That's where we come in. So what we're trying to do is launch a program where we kind of are a pass-through. We will get the interns, we will advertise, we'll work with you to create the project, get the interns who will then work with you guys. So we have capacity right now to hire 2 interns this summer, and we want to try and make sure that they're doing really awesome things. So I'll put my email in the chat, but if you need help, if you have a project idea, or even if you already have a student in mind that's working with you that you think could benefit from an internship, these will be financially compensated. And if they're already with the university and they can get all the paperwork in, we'll work with them to get credit if they want that too. So hopefully we'll have interns in place for the summer or the fall. So just email me, we'll work something out and we'll hopefully get you guys help. So that's the first. The second thing is I've been talking with a lot of folks in the Blackstone about plastic pollution. Particularly Bonnie and I had a fantastic conversation. Coming up in September, the SRA program is going to host an event on plastic pollution. We don't have a date yet. We're still working on a planning committee, but I'm looking for really great perspectives from across the watershed on plastic pollution. So if you want to talk about plastic from macro to nano, cradle to grave, really any kind of thing that's really irking you. Stephanie shared the picture of the nips in the canoe, which is definitely a powerful thing. Let us know. And it looks like our event's going to come right behind the Zap the Blackstone cleanup day. So by then we'll have a lot settled. So we'll be able to advertise and get people going. The hope is, COVID notwithstanding, we'll be in person down at Roger Williams University in some of their great facilities. For those of you who don't know, back in September, October, the SRA program shifted to be hosted by Roger Williams University. And so we are basically utilizing everything they can give us in terms of potential interns, space, all that good stuff to really make a big splash with our new host. So keep watching our website and things like that, and I'll share stuff with Stephanie as it comes.
Brittany, and for folks who are thinking like, hey, maybe the collaborative can use some help, I already emailed Courtney like 5 different ideas of, yes, I could use your help in so many different ways. So we will we'll keep in touch on that. Other partner updates.
And it doesn't have to be a Roger Williams student. Sorry to interrupt you. It doesn't, we can work out a way to get students from other universities or colleges involved. So I just have to work through that. But just to know that even though we're with Roger Williams, you don't necessarily need to be a Roger Williams student to work with us.
Thanks. John and then Judy.
I have some updates, what we're gonna be doing. April 2nd is Yellow Bag Day. It's in Cumberland and Lincoln. April 16th, we're having the Blue Mind Walk with poetry with Patty, and we're gonna walk down to the vernal pool where we have some peepers. That starts at 3 p.m. on April 16th at Sycamore Landing. April 23rd, we're doing our Earth Day cleanup with the town of Cumberland at the Blackstone Heritage Park. April 22nd, on Earth Day, we're going to have the premiere of Kitticook Speaks at the Blackstone River Theater at 7 p.m. And Stephanie has put some information on the collaborative website about that. And June 25th and 26th is the Water Chestnut Pull in the Valley Falls Marsh. So those are the events we got so far scheduled.
Can you say that last one again, June 26th?
June 25th and 26th, it's a Saturday and a Sunday, will be the Water Chestnut Pull in the Valley Falls Marsh. Mainly the coves. The Valley Falls Pond has about 30 acres of water chestnuts, and it's spreading to the coves. So we're trying to stop the coves from being choked up like the pond. And I guess the state's looking into getting a grant through DEM to do something with the Valley Falls Pond that has the 30 acres of water chestnuts in it.
Oh.
And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Judy?
There we go. Yes. Yeah, I just wanted to let everyone know that the non-point source section will be hosting a virtual non-point source management forum on March 30th from 1 to 4 in the afternoon. I sent out the announcement yesterday with the Zoom registration link, and perhaps Stephanie can share it with the collaborative if she hasn't already. That would be great. Or you could email me at judith.rondo@mass.gov. And I can send you the link. I will also post it in the chat so you can grab it. So the focus of the forum is really to introduce folks to the non-point source section and our 2 grant programs. We have the 604B grant program, which is geared towards watershed-based planning and stormwater management project development. And the 392 grant program, which is geared more towards actual BMP implementation. And the RFRs, if folks are interested in either of those grant programs, will be coming out probably in April or May of this year. We haven't selected the exact dates yet, but sometime this spring. So anyway, it would be great to see you all there. And as I said, I'll post the link in the chat. If you're interested, you can register.
Perfect, thank you. And I will send that that flyer or the email with our follow-up notes to this meeting.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Other updates?
Steph?
Oh,
That's okay. I just two quick ones, of course, the same annual meeting for the Blackstone River Watershed Association, May 18th. And I sent you the latest flyer, which contains the registration link, because registration is going to be required, but we are doing a hybrid. So the presentation is a wonderful presentation by Colin Novick of the Greater Worcester Land Trust, and Cheryl Tony Hawley, leader of the Nipmuc group for Nipmuc people, I should say. But it's a documentary film that explores the history and identify the history and identity of Packagug, which is the largest of the 3 Nipmuc villages, but it's all about the people and the river. And we're really excited about that. It should be a wonderful and exciting program. And then, of course, so that's on May 18th. It's a Wednesday night. It's just 2 hours. And then the other event for BRWA right now is the Family Fun Fishing Day. And that's going to be on June 4th from 10 until 1. And that late flyer with registration information will be out in a little while. And that's it. Except that I do want to support Ray and say, good job, Ray, in your ZAP work. And if you look at the latest flyer, ZAP is on that flyer. We are going to promote ZAP in our events.
Thank you.
Perfect. Patty has June 11th. There's an open house at Central Falls Landing. BBTC offices and river classrooms. Explorer will hopefully be available for cruises, and our kayaks and canoes are available. So I will put that in our notes as well. Thank you. Anything else that folks want to share? Okay, if you think of it, feel free to put it in the chat. The two, I want to mention there are 2 really important grant opportunities that are open right now that we haven't discussed before. One is for municipalities in Massachusetts, the MVP Action Grant, I think, and planning, but all of our communities have been through the planning process now. MVP Action Grants are open right now, that RFP. Applications are due by May 5th by 2 p.m. I have a link to the RFP in the notes. So if any communities are interested in applying, if you need a letter of support, if you want to discuss projects, I have spoken to a few different communities about projects already. Please let me know, and we'd be happy to do that. Other action, or the other grant opportunity, is from SNAP, the Southeast New England program, and they have watershed implementation grants open right now. They are requesting letters of interest, so they're relatively short applications. I think they're about 10 questions with 200 words each, of like, who are your partners and what's your timeline, what's the challenge you're trying to solve, what are your actions that you're taking, etc. So those are due by April 26th. And again, the link is in there. If you were chosen through that letter of interest process, you'll be informed, I believe, in May. And then they'll ask to submit a full application, and grant funding will be in October. That program is has quite a large range. They anticipate most awards to be between 100,000 and 350,000, but they do smaller grants as well, all the way down to $20,000. And for projects with exceptional impact, they will go up to $500,000. And these are 2-year grants from October of 2022 through the end of 2024. So that's something that I wanted to spend some time on for the rest of our meeting. Like I said, I'm going to stop recording so that people can really hopefully speak freely and try and workshop some ideas together. But I do encourage folks to apply for those grants, whether you want to do it as part of the collaborative or on your own. We are here to be supportive. I am here to be supportive. So whoever is applying, anything you're doing, I'm not looking at it as we are competing. I'm looking at it as we are all helping the Blackstone. And so I'd love to write letters of support for any of our partners that are applying for that grant. Please, please, please let me know if you are already working on that. So I'm going to stop recording